put me and my brother and my sister in tennis lessons as a kid. So we were hitting in the summers. We played every sport under the sun, and in the summers we tried to play as much as we could. Always loved the sport. In high school, I played baseball as a spring sport, so I couldn't play tennis because they were the same season. So really through most of high school and all of college, I didn't pick up a racket, didn't play. And then as I got into my pro football career, was reminded of tennis and of the parallels to quarterbacking and of the difference it would make for me to train that way. And I picked up a racket again and started hitting again and really fell in love with it all over again. I'd forgotten how much fun it had been in middle school to play competitively. I always enjoyed the lessons I took as a kid in elementary school. And so it came back to me fairly quickly. And, the sport hasn't changed in the sense that I still love it and have as much fun now playing as I did then. And, really see myself playing now because it is a lifetime sport. See myself playing long after I'm done playing football.
Could you relate a little bit to around that? What kind of skills transfer from a tennis perspective into football, and what benefits have you seen?
I continue to be amazed at how much transfers over. Really, the first time I had the light bulb go off that maybe I should play more tennis in my off seasons as a way to train for football was in talking with Drew Brees, another quarterback who also had a much more decorated tennis background than I had. He mentioned how he would play a little bit in the off season as I was asking him how he handled his off seasons. And it dawned on me that, if I go play pickup basketball, which is what so many pro football players do to stay in shape and to keep up their quickness and their agility, really you risk playing on a court with 9 other guys, a collision, a rolled ankle, the risk of injury is much higher. I like the thought of being on my half of the court. I'm the only guy out there. And as long as I can keep a stray tennis ball away from my feet, I'm in a much better place protecting my body than I would be on a basketball court. And so that was really rule number 1 for me, to get out and to make sure if I'm training, I'm staying safe. But, then we started talking about how the serve motion really mirrors or is similar to the throwing motion with a football. And when I mentioned that to a tennis instructor, he told me that Pete Sampras actually used to warm up his shoulder by playing catch with a football before hitting serves. And so that really just affirmed what I already was thinking. And then I loved how the ground strokes really mimic, the hip turn of throwing a football. The reactionary nature of the sport, where you don't know where the ball is going to get hit next, is so similar to when I drop back in the pocket. I don't know where the pass rush is going to come from and where I may need to take off and react. And so I love that reactionary nature where you can't predict what's coming next. And I think it's so important when I train to train in all planes of motion. I don't like to get stuck in one movement or any one direction. And as a quarterback, I so often take one type of drop, turn one way, and then throw one way. What I love about tennis is, really aside from the serve, every movement is varied. I mean, you have a forehand, you have a backhand, you have an overhead, you have ground strokes, you run forward to play at the net, you run backwards to chase a lob, you have to run right and left to chase the corners. And so the varied movements, I felt like I was kind of getting everything in one activity. And so for me, it was just a match made in heaven. And it's fun too. When I'm hitting ground strokes pure and I'm connecting with the ball, it's almost cathartic. It just feels like everything's flowing well. And so I so look forward to my workouts now instead of dreading them like I would if I'm lifting weights or going for a run. I look forward to my tennis lesson, and I just tell the instructor to wear me out, hit it to the deepest corners of the court so that I have to run. I tell them to be a jerk, don't put it right at my waist, put it anywhere but my waist, that I have to run and dive and get worn out. And it's just been a tremendous way for me to become a better football player and more athletic quarterback.
So it was only into the collegiate level that you started specializing in football per se, and were benefiting from those other sports all the way through middle school, high school, and then into
Absolutely.
college.
And what's interesting about when I did start focusing only on football, and it was either football or training for football year round, that was the first time that my body started to break down, if you will. And I started to have some tendinitises and some tightness. And I think the coordination that came with playing so many different sports and the variety of movement that you had to do, it really served me well. And so that was part of the reason I wanted to get back to playing tennis, was to do something different than just taking drops as a quarterback and throwing the football. I think it's in my best interest to ask my body to do unique athletic movements that may or may not happen on a regular basis on the football field. And that's another way that tennis has served me well.
We've spoken about the athleticism around multi-sport play. What about the other components of mental and character development and so forth, life skills?
Yeah, I mean, in every way, there's variety, which is great. The guys I played tennis with in middle school were different people than the guys I played football or basketball with. And so I got to hang with different types of kids and kids from different backgrounds. And, I think mentally too, it almost gives you a break from one sport and gives you a fresh start with another one. And it's a positive all the way around. And again, it can be challenging to, play a lot of sports. It can be a drain on time and energy. And it can also, be a concern that, hey, if I focus on so many different sports, will I really ever be good enough at the one that I want to be good enough at? And those are decisions you have to make in your athletic journey. But for me, I wanted to play as many as I could for as long as I could until I really didn't have a choice. And that age for me was about 18, 19 years old. But depending on the sport and the individual athlete, it may be younger, it may be older. But I certainly would try to stay multi-sport as long as you can.
How have you seen this fun element with your kids?
Well, we're already, thanks to you guys at the USTA, got some rackets and some balls for my 4-year-old and 2-year-old, and we're already hitting in the driveway. And I found that it's tough to play any sport with a 2, 3, 4-year-old because the coordination isn't there yet and the understanding of the game. But tennis has been great because I can toss them a foam ball and they can hit it. They've got a big surface area to hit with the racket, and the ball can go anywhere it wants, and they think they, hit it out of the park. So it's been great for us to hit, and even on their own, they can hit that foam ball against the wall or against our garage door. And so it's been really fun to get them introduced to tennis early. And I'd say it's the sport they've taken to the most so far, probably just because it's something they can do so easily.